What is up, Indy fans? Welcome back to the channel, where we bleed blue and white every single day. Listen up, because something massive is shaking the foundations of Lucas Oil Stadium, and you definitely do not want to miss a single second of this update. We are talking about a situation that could redefine our entire season and the future of the franchise. Before we dive into the gritty details of this bombshell report, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Join our Colts family right now so you always stay ahead of the game. Anthony Richardson is officially stuck in a trade limbo that nobody in the 317 expected after his high-profile arrival. Word just broke from the heavy hitters like Adam Schefter that the trade market for the former 4th overall pick is absolutely bone dry right now. After the Colts and their young signal caller mutually agreed to find a new home during the NFL Combine, the phone lines have stayed incredibly quiet for over 30 long days. Schefter literally described the market as soft, and that is a massive gut punch for a guy who was supposed to be our next generational superstar. Think about that for a second, because we are talking about a freak athlete with all the tools in the shed, but apparently the rest of the league is looking at the tape and the medical reports and saying thanks but no thanks. There was a tiny bit of smoke coming out of Green Bay for a minute, but that conversation never even got off the ground because the Packers are already hitched to Jordan Love for the long haul. So here we are with a former top 5 pick that literally nobody wants to give up valuable assets for, and it leaves Chris Ballard in a nightmare spot. Do you really trade a guy for a bag of chips like a 6th-round pick just to get him out of the building? Schefter says you might as well hold on to him at that price point because the value has cratered so hard, it is almost insulting. But here is the real kicker that should have every fan in Indianapolis worried tonight. If he stays, what does that do to the locker room chemistry with Daniel Jones sitting in the driver's seat and a young gun like Riley Leonard waiting in the wings? This situation is a ticking time bomb because we are seeing a total collapse of trade value for a player we thought was the future of the Circle City. It makes you wonder if there is something even deeper going on behind the scenes that the scouts are seeing, because this level of disinterest is practically unheard of for a kid this young with this much raw talent. Is he truly untradeable? Or are the Colts just asking for way too much in return for a project that has not yet panned out? The silence from the rest of the NFL is deafening, and it points to a very dark reality for our quarterback room as we head toward the summer sessions. If a deal does not happen soon, things are about to get very awkward at camp. The struggle to find a franchise guy has been real in Indy ever since Andrew Luck walked away and left us all hanging. We took a massive swing on a project like the Florida Gator back in 2023, hoping his dual-threat ability would ignite this offense under Shane Steichen. But after 3 seasons, the complexity of his future is reaching a boiling point. He lost the starting gig to Daniel Jones last summer, and since then the rumors have been swirling like a Midwest tornado. We all remember how elite the talent looked on paper, but the transition to the pro game has been anything but smooth. It feels like we are recycling the same old problems year after year. The front office thought they could develop him into that elite tier, but instead he spent more time watching from the sidelines than actually making plays. When you look back at the history of this team, we have been spoiled with guys like Manning and Luck, so seeing this kind of uncertainty is tough for the fan base to swallow. The move to seek a trade was supposed to be a fresh start for both sides, but instead it has turned into a stalemate that has everyone on edge. You have to feel for the guy in a way, but this is a results-oriented business, and the results just have not been there. The organization is trying to move forward with Jones, but having this hanging over their heads is a massive distraction. It is like the ghost of drafts past is coming back to haunt us because we just cannot seem to hit on that one guy who can stay healthy and lead this team back to the promised land. There is a feeling among insiders that the bridge might already be burned, but with no buyers on the market, the Colts are backed into a corner they never anticipated. It is a messy situation that reminds us all just how hard it is to build a dynasty in this league when the most important position on the field is a giant question mark. We wanted a hero, but right now we just have a lot of questions and very few answers as the clock keeps ticking toward the draft. Let's look at the cold hard numbers because they tell a story that is honestly pretty depressing for a former high pick. In the 2025 season, he only appeared in garbage time of 2 games, and his most notable stat was completing a pass to himself for 9 yards. That is the kind of fluke play you see on highlight reels, but it does not win football games. The real stat that matters is his availability, or lack thereof. A freak orbital fracture suffered during warm-ups in October ended his season before it even started, and that kind of injury history is exactly why the trade market is so soft. He has 1 year left on that rookie contract, and everyone in the league knows the Colts are almost certainly going to decline that 5th-year option next month. That means his trade value is basically zero because any team taking him knows he could be a free agent in a year anyway. Now imagine the scenarios for 2026. If Daniel Jones is the guy, he has to stay healthy, but we all know that is no guarantee in this league. If Jones has a setback during rehab, the Colts are left with a choice between a guy with no trade market and Riley Leonard. It is a high-stakes gamble that could go south very fast. If they cannot find a trade partner, he is going to be stuck on the bench as a very expensive insurance policy. Another scenario is that Chris Ballard finally caves and takes a lowball offer just to clear the air. But giving up a former 4th overall pick for a late-round flyer is a tough pill to swallow for a GM who prides himself on draft value. There is also the possibility that he stays and somehow finds a way back onto the field if injuries strike again, but with his own track record that feels like a long shot. The data shows a player who has not played meaningful snaps in a long time, and in the NFL that is a recipe for a career decline. Every day he sits on the bench is another day his value drops further into the basement. We are looking at a potential roster stagnation that could hold the entire team back if they do not find a creative way to solve this quarterback puzzle before the season kicks off. Look, I am going to keep it 100 with you guys because this is the Circle City, and we do not sugarcoat things here. Keeping a disgruntled former top pick who has no trade value on the bench is a recipe for disaster. It creates a weird vibe in the locker room, and it puts massive pressure on Daniel Jones to be perfect from day one. In my professional opinion, the Colts need to stop waiting for a miracle haul and just move on even if the return is minimal. We need a clean slate to really see what this roster can do without the constant "what if" hanging over our heads. It is time to stop dreaming about what he could have been and start focusing on the reality of who we have on the field right now. The market has spoken, and the league has said he is not a starter in their eyes. That is a hard truth, but it is one the front office has to accept if they want to build a winner. We are building a dynasty here, and you cannot do that with anchors holding you back. I want to see this team aggressive and focused on the guys who are actually going to lead us to a division title. The era of project quarterbacks in Indy needs to take a backseat to winning football games right now. This is a crucial moment for Ballard and Steichen to show they can manage a crisis. But I want to hear from you, the real Colts fans who are in the trenches with me. Do you think we should just cut our losses and trade him for whatever we can get, or is it worth keeping him on the bench as a backup just in case Jones goes down? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I read every single one of them. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe if you want the realest Colts coverage on the internet. See you in the next one.